welcome to episode 6 of Crafting for Profit Live. Today's topic is selling your sublimation crafts. So, we're calling it our Sublimation Success Secrets, where we're helping you to sell your sublimation crafts and be successful at it. So, if you're joining us on the YouTube Live, feel free to ask questions in the comment section. However, we're going to kind of keep things on topic and we will answer those at the end of the episode. And if you have any off-topic questions, we always have a link in the description below the video or in the podcast notes where you can ask us anything at all. And we do episodes every now and again where we answer all of your burning questions.
So, since you are here, you may be excited about sublimation, and we are excited about sublimation because coming up soon is Sublimation Camp. So, Angie and I have been running Sublimation Camp this is our 3rd year, which is amazing. And we have free tickets to our event. The event itself is May 2nd through May 4th, and we have something like 40 classes on sublimation. We have added DTF printing, so direct to film printing. So if you're interested in checking that out, we have classes on that as well. You can join us for those 3 days for free. You just come and join us. Amazing. We have a link to get your ticket down in the description below. I think, Angie, do you have a QR code?
Yep, the QR code should be up here. If I'm on YouTube, I'm always pointing weirdly. It's somewhere.
So snag that QR code and you can get yourself your free ticket and join us and come learn and have fun. We do this kind of fun camp atmosphere. You can get badges. There's campfires. It's super fun.
And then if you are watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, or watching that YouTube video, be sure to rate and review the podcast or give us a like and share on YouTube. This really helps us. And if you have friends that might want to sell their sublimation crafts, be sure to share this episode with them. So now we have go ahead. Did you have something
I do
else?
want to give a big thank you to those of you who have rated and reviewed the podcast because I see you. I went and checked and we have way more ratings and reviews than we did the last time I checked. So thank you.
It's been so much fun to read those, by the way. It's the
So
highlight
fun.
of my day. All right. So now we're going to introduce our special guest, and it's Courtney Brickner with the Crafty Brick. And she does fun crafty challenges, other amazing things on Instagram. You might have seen her dance. So we're going to let Courtney introduce herself.
Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. I am just, so honored that you guys asked me to be on your episode today. It's been so great to get to know both of you the last few years. I was one of the speakers at the very first Sublimation Camp, and it was actually my very first summit that I had ever done. So it was my first experience, and it was so much fun. Like, I loved it. I loved the badges. I loved the campfire. The way you guys set everything up was just so fun. So if anybody is on the fence about doing Sublimation Camp, you 100% should, because it's so much fun. I'm not a speaker this year. I don't know why I'm not. I said no. I can't even believe it. I'm having so much FOMO now that all the fun is starting, but it's just, you can't say yes to everything. So I opted out of this one, but if you are on the fence, you should definitely do it because Angie and Corey are amazing and all the speakers are great. But I'm just happy to be here. I started the Crafty Brick it's been about 4.5 years now. I opened up an Etsy shop and was selling, mugs and t-shirts, and I was doing vinyl and HTV and adhesive vinyl. And then Sublimation came out and it was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then I got into that. So I converted a printer and started getting all my things for that. And that's just kind of how my journey started into sublimation. And then I started selling sublimation items because there's so many things you can make using sublimation. So it's one of my favorite projects to do. And yeah, when you see me over on Instagram, I just feel like I'm, just spreading one crafty joy project at a time. I enjoy dancing. I enjoy having fun with my crafting. And I was trying to figure out a way to kind of bring both those worlds together. And that's what I do. So you see me dancing a lot with tutorials and bringing it all together over at the Crafty Brick.
Oh my goodness. I love it so much. I love your channel a lot because one, it shows just how joyful crafting can be and how running a business can be joyful. Because I think sometimes we get kind of like, oh my gosh, I have to make 30 sublimation tumblers. And your brain is just, focusing on the work. But there is a lot of joy in crafting and creating and making. And I think that you just show that off so well. And it's just a joy to watch.
Well, thank you. Thank you. There is a lot of joy. I feel like there can be a lot of frustration as well. So I mean, let's not forget about that part. When you're getting into sublimation, it's a very frustrating process, and the amount of blanks that you waste in the beginning, and even sometimes when you're trying out new projects later on and you're pretty good at sublimation, you're still going to waste some blanks, and that can be frustrating. But once you get the hang of it, I feel like there is a lot of joy when you peel that paper back and you see those bright colors on your project. You're just like, oh my gosh, this is all worth it. Like, it's so pretty.
I'm almost thinking we all need to add dance breaks to our day. Like that's what we need to learn from Courtney and add a dance break. When you're frustrated, you need a dance break.
I agree. I often dance with my boys, not on the internet, but I will dance in the kitchen a lot of times with my boys. So we have our questions here, but I feel like before we get into our questions, can you give us a brief overview? I mean, any of us could do this, but Courtney, could you give us a brief overview of what sublimation even is?
Well, sublimation is the process of taking this special printer and special ink, and when you print it, it comes out, and when it comes in contact with the heat from the heat press, that ink turns into a gas, and while it's in that gas state, it comes into contact with the fibers of whatever you're working with, and then turns back into a solid and becomes part of that material, whatever it is. So it's just amazing. It doesn't wash off, it doesn't fade away, it doesn't crack or peel. It's just part of whatever item you're making. So I think that's what makes it so amazing.
It's definitely what I love about sublimation, but we should also give the two big caveats of sublimation, right? So the first is that you need a poly-coated blank or a polyester or poly-coated blank, which can be frustrating because, some people don't want to wear polyester all the time, but that is one of the things for that chemical process to happen. We have to have that polyester or poly coating. And then number two, sublimation ink is transparent. And so we can't put it on dark colors because it will not show up at all. So everything that we talk about here, if we're talking about t-shirt decoration methods or other decoration methods, I feel like there's pros and cons to everything and there's not one perfect version, but sublimation gets pretty close because you can make stuff that I feel like you can't make with any other method and it's permanent.
I agree. Although just one caveat on that, Corey, with the printing on dark fabrics, some of the times you can print on the dark fabrics if you want to just do black. Like, because I've done, red and green shirts, but if you're printing with just black, then it does show up. So, I mean, you can't get your bright colors for sure, but if you just wanted maybe black words or a black image, you could do that.
Yeah,
But
good point.
Yeah, and no weeding required. Like, let's just go ahead and say that right now.
I don't even know how I left that out. That's like one of the best parts. Wow. I mean,
so
you get
fast.
started. Most people, when they get started with crafting, they start with vinyl because it's just the easiest way to get into the crafting world. You get your Cricut, you get your vinyl, and you start making stuff. But when you realize that you don't have to weed anymore, that is a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely mind blown. And I still, no matter how long I do sublimation, that peel back and reveal, sometimes I'm just like gasping at how good it is. Like it still amazes me.
Me too. It really does. And I still love it. When I peel back that paper, it's so exciting.
I was making sublimation jewelry just before this call. And each time when I pulled it back and I was like, oh, it worked. Like, I don't know why I'm always so shocked. I've been doing sublimation for like 3 or 4 years now, but I'm still like, wow, it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
All right. Do we want to get into questions?
Let's do it.
All right. So question number 1, what are the minimum supplies you think someone needs to get started with sublimation crafting and selling their sublimation items?
Well, I think the cool thing now with the way the market is, you can kind of get into it really very minimally. Like if you want to just get your toes wet and try out sublimation, you can start with infusible ink sheets. You can start with artistry markers and stamp pads and paints. Those are all things that you can do sublimation. So if you really don't want to get a printer just yet, you just want to try it out, I say try it out with those items. And then if you realize that you love it, because I mean, really with infusible ink, you still have to weed. So it is sublimation, but you still have to weed. So you don't get the full effect of sublimation. But if you realize you like it, those mugs are so fun to make with the infusible sheets and the t-shirts. Then I think the bare minimum is you got to have a printer. A converted one works great. I've converted my Epson, and that was, a very minimal investment as far as sublimation printers go and for the ink. So printer, paper, some butcher paper, and ink. I mean, and some polyester blanks. I can't, am I missing something? That's all I can think of, that for bare minimum.
The only other thing I can think of is some kind of heat source, depending on what you make.
Oh,
So, like heat press,
yeah.
oven, sublimation oven, tumbler press, mug press, just depending on what you make. That's the only other thing I can think of, right?
Yeah, I think the projects I made today could be made with an Easy Press Mini because I was making these like tiny jewelry sublimation blanks. So I mean, like it's one of those things where it's like most will take a larger heat press, something you could do a Cricut Easy Press. But it was really fun because I was like, man, I could make a whole bunch of earrings just using my Easy Press Mini. I wouldn't even have to break out my big heat press.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
find that sometimes when I was starting with it, I only had an easy press. Like when I started crafting and when I started sublimation, I only had an easy press. And I feel like it's a good entry machine to have, but I feel like it increases your chances of ghosting and you just don't always get even pressure with it. So I find that if you really love sublimation, I think it's better to make an investment on a real heat press rather than just using your easy press. It's a great start. You can do it, but I think you're not going to love your results on a consistent basis with an easy press.
I completely
yeah, I would
agree.
say, yeah, and especially if you're selling your sublimation stuff, you're gonna have way more luck with a traditional heat press. One that auto opens even better because you can really churn out those things.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody did mention in the comments that you will also need a way to clean your blanks. So a lint roller, alcohol, and a
Oh,
microfiber cloth. Not a huge investment there, but definitely something that you want to have on hand.
yes. Yeah, because just to add to that, if you don't have that, I will let you know from personal experience. If you don't lint roll, you're going to get little blue dots on your project. The press, your sublimation area, it's going to look beautiful. The print is going to look fabulous, and then you're going to have white dot or blue dots all over where there was some lint. And it turned blue, and it's incredibly annoying. So make sure you lint roll all of your items.
Definitely. All right, so let's see. Question number 2. What are your favorite sources for quality sublimation blanks?
Let's see. I really like Heat Transfer Warehouse. They have really good blanks. Um, I get a lot of stuff from Amazon too. I have a lot of luck on there. There's so many different items on there that you can get. Um, I used to use Conde, but they are closing now.
And I'm so sad.
So sad.
They're closing. They had the best linen tote bags and little drawstring backpacks. And I have to say, I'm really going to miss those.
Yes, I've been so sad. I have found a lot of the Condi stuff on Heat Press Nation because I need to source all of those blanks somewhere else, for all my posts. So I found some stuff on Heat Press Nation, but yeah, that's the closest I've come.
The other one that I have been finding some of those blanks was Craft Express was another
Mm.
website that has some really interesting blanks that I was finding on places like Conde that I couldn't find elsewhere. So that's another place to look. I do think about Amazon. I mean, I get tons of blanks on Amazon all the time. And I would say like 80% of them are awesome, but you have to be willing to like get a bad one in the bunch every once in a while. Like you have to just be like, okay, not everything is going to turn out perfect. I may have to try a brand or two. We use PYD Life a lot And I feel like overall we've had really good success with them. So, but I've also had other things where I was trying to make sublimation acrylic keychains, and I could not make it work. I've been doing this a long time, and I was like, I think these blanks are just terrible.
It is not me. It is you.
It is you.
Yeah, so
HTV
when I'm ordering from Amazon and I find like PYD Life's a good one example, and I find like their stuff does good for me consistently, I like keep a list. And that way, if I need an acrylic keychain, I see if PYD Life has one first or someone else on my list. And that way I don't get those acrylic keychains that do not work, or I've had bookmarks that do not work, just tons of things.
Yeah.
You were going to mention
that HTV Ront is another good one that I think has some good blanks. Their earrings are fabulous. And I love that one of the things that I like about them is they've got, most sublimation blanks have that clear film that you're going to have to peel off. The HTV Ront earrings, they're actually a blue film, so you can see it a whole lot better than the other ones. And you know that you took it off, because sometimes I have sublimated earrings and the film is actually still on there, so I've ruined it. But I like that HTV Ront has that blue film, and it makes it a little bit easier, so then I don't mess it up.
Let's give a shout out.
Yeah, I'm the queen of not removing that film. The queen.
I feel like all of that film going forward should be blue. So if you are a blanks company and you are watching this video, you have 3 sublimation people here begging you to make that film something other than clear, because it is so hard to see.
It really is. Yes, I agree. And then you ruin it. Like, it's annoying.
I hate throwing stuff away.
And then I do want to give a shout out to Artistry. I think they have some really good blanks. And I think Courtney, you do their blank of the month.
Yes.
They have like a blank of the month each month that is like a special edition. And a lot of times it's a really unique thing that I haven't seen other places. So I try to keep an eye on those as well. All right. Question number 3. Are we ready?
I think we're ready.
How do you make your items stand out in a crowded market?
For me, I feel like it's just little things, like maybe something that you put in your package, like a thank you card that you put in there. I find that sometimes when I get stuff when I purchase from someone and there's a little card in there about their story, I read it. And if it's on like a cute postcard, I'm like, oh, this is cute. What is this? And then I see like, oh, this is a mom that, started this business and she's got 3 kids and she's supporting her family. Like, I like those backstories from things that I'm purchasing. And it makes me want to go back and get more stuff another time. And then, like, in addition to that, before even the sale, for me, I think it's really showing me, like, like in the beginning of my business, I know this is really even hard to like see with me, but I never showed my face ever. I really didn't feel comfortable in front of the camera, and I preferred to just I would show my hands making stuff. I would just show pictures of stuff. But then Reels came out a few years ago, and like I said, I was nervous about doing it, but my friend talked me into doing a reel with her, and I did it, and it was so much fun. And from that day on, I started posting reels, and I actually got into the videos. And that's who I am behind the camera. I just was nervous about doing it in front of, not really in front of people, but on camera in front of, for people to see. Like, I can do it at home, but for people to see, it was different. But I feel like it made a difference in my sales, because I think people put a face behind the brand. So you might see a whole bunch of tumblers and everybody's doing sublimation tumblers, but you know that Courtney actually sells this tumbler because she was dancing with it and showing you how she made it in her video. And I think it kind of sticks into your memory a little bit more. So I think just finding some ways that your product can stand out a little bit, even though everybody's doing the same stuff, just to kind of differentiate, I think makes it a little bit different and makes you be able to sell.
And I think I've seen you do videos on like make this order with me and or something along those lines. And I like those videos as well. Or like let me pack an order. I've seen people do that. Like pack an order with me. Again, I'm a sucker for a brand story, behind the scenes type of look into what people are making. And those videos like get me every single time just watching someone actually make an order.
Yeah, and knowing that somebody is making your order. This is not a huge company with machines that are just cranking out tumblers. I am printing this out, I'm putting it on the tumbler, I'm making this, and then I'm packaging it up and sending it to you. Like I did the whole process, and I think that that means something to people.
I think I've seen you also do a time lapse of making a whole bunch of, like, let's
Mhm.
make 30 of these, and you just set your phone up, you set it to that time lapse, and then it just kind of shows you the process of like, the batching of like, okay, we're moving from this station to this station to this station, and you're going, in order of like how you're making each of your products. And I find that stuff really compelling because it really shows like the process behind what you're doing. It also gives people an insight like, oh, maybe if I put my heat press and my printer in this configuration, things would work out better. Or, I didn't even think to have a cooling station, like a place to set everything.
Yeah.
I'm sort of setting them all over my room. Maybe I just need a little folding table or something to set everything I'm making on my heat press. Therefore, I'm not walking across the room to some other part of my, it just gives people ideas.
And I think having multiple ways to show things, like what you guys were just saying, doing a post with time lapse, doing a post, fill an order with me, doing a post, here's how I made this, all kinds of different posts that are still, they're all telling the same story, but they're being presented a little bit differently. But I think showing you yourself is a big part of it.
This was
Yeah. And
such, oh, go ahead.
go and like that gives you insight into like the person behind the brand. And you can't be replicated. No matter how many people make tumblers, they cannot replicate Courtney and the way she does things and her energy and her dancing and her videos. Like you can't replicate that part. So it does make you stand out in that crowded market.
And
Yes.
I wanted to like let people know that at least I understand like that it's really hard. Like I still struggle with getting my face on the camera. You'll notice that most of my reels don't have my face. I'm getting better. I'm doing more things with my face. I've got the podcast, I do YouTube now, but Angie can attest to how long it took her to be like, Corey, why aren't you posting on YouTube? And I was like, because I have a face, you know? And she was like, you just have to get over it. And so at some point I was like, I'm just getting over it because people aren't necessarily there just to like critique my face like I think about at 3 a.m. Right? It's that they're there to learn something or they're there to be inspired. They're there to laugh. They're, to all of these different things, but none of them actually have to do with my face. And I have
Yeah.
to remind myself that, just because I'm not necessarily like thrilled with the way I look on camera in this one video, nobody's going to notice. It's like they're just really excited to see what I'm making or what I'm doing. But it's a hurdle and it's a big one. And I think that we should at least acknowledge that it's tough.
It is very tough. It is very tough. But I feel like once you do it, it gets easier. Like, and then it's still tough the second time, it's tough the third time, but you just keep coming back. And the more you do it, it gets easier. Like, I don't mind, like, obviously at all now being on camera. I do it all the time, but it's hard at first. And then you feel like people are judging you and you don't want to like look stupid or you don't want to mess up or say something dumb. It's just like there's so many things going through your head. But then when you just do it, I'm just like, I don't know. I started this thing, it's called Crafty Tuesday. And I go live every single Tuesday. It's crazy. I think I've been doing it for like 2.5 years now. And typically I make something that I have not made before. So which is crazy in the first place. But I don't love to show mistakes and show me mess up for sure. So it's still kind of hard for me sometimes to go on and show that side, but it was really important to me because I felt like, um, not that I see myself as like a role model or whatever, but people were coming into my DMs and they're like, oh my gosh, I want my channel to be like yours. I just love I love your crafts. I love everything you do. Like, I mean, and it was nice. It made me feel good, but it also made me feel a little bit bad because I'm like, it is not like this all the time. Y'all don't see all the craft. You don't see all those tumblers that I have downstairs that are so messed up. Like, it took me 20 tumblers to get to this one that I posted on Instagram for you to show that it was really good. So it got me thinking that I wanted to show the other side of crafting. Like, it was like, this is what it really looks like when you are trying something new. It's not always pretty. And Crafty Tuesday, that's what it is. And I do it every week. And some weeks it is wonderful. I try something new and it just is so great. And I'm like, yes, this was amazing. And a lot of times it is a hot mess. Like, people are like, we're ready for the hot mess express. Like, let's bring it on. Like, they love to see it and they don't mind me messing up. I still feel a little bit not okay with it sometimes, just because I don't like to mess up. And I certainly don't like to mess up in front of people. But I keep coming back every week and we just keep doing Crafty Tuesday. And I think it is important to show, like, first of all, for me to face that fear of me doing it and messing up. And second, showing that I'm just regular. I mess up just as much as anybody else does, sometimes more, because I'm not really good with directions all the time. And I don't know. I just think it's good to do. So I keep doing it.
It's very relatable though, because everybody makes mistakes, right? So it's like you don't want to see your favorite content creator just like killing it every time,
Every
because then you're like, what's wrong with me? And we don't want people thinking that. I mean, I'm very, very, very honest. Like in my YouTube videos, this worked, this didn't work, all of these things. I would do this. Here's how I fixed this mistake. Wow, that sucked, whatever it is. It's like, but I think that that's so much better than just having like I made this perfect thing perfectly every time sort of style.
I feel like social has been getting a little more real, like real life. And I don't know if it's because of like the TikTok influence or whatever, but I feel like it's been getting a little more real. So where it doesn't have to be picture perfect. You can show behind the scenes, you can show that messy craft room behind you, and it's okay. And I say that and I like cringe every time there are boxes behind me.
So true.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. It is so hard to keep a craft room clean, y'all, for video. So hard.
Impossible.
I mean,
it's
when we got on here, I told you, I'm like, okay, I'm taking all this and I'm throwing it on the ground. Now it's clean behind me. Like, I won't show you my ground, but
don't look below the table here.
You only get the screenshot on YouTube. That's it.
Yeah, and it looks great right now.
Amazing.
Last week we talked to Jamila Payne a little bit, and she was talking about standing out in a crowded market a little bit and like personalized projects and personalizing things to help like differentiate herself from the crowd. And so personally, I love Kittl, and that's Kittl for those that are asking like for spellings in the comment section, for being able to make and customize like designs they already have on there easily. I think it's perfect for beginners. I get asked all the time, like, what software do I use as a beginner for sublimation, for SVG files? And that those designs translate really well, I feel like, and you can customize them very easily. Like, I have no problem just from the first time I get on there.
Yeah, I feel like Kittl's a really good option if you don't have any design, sense. They have like this really big library. It's like full of templates and elements and designs and all sorts of stuff that you can like use them to customize all of your designs. So like you take one design and then you change it all around without having to have that sort of design history, to read it or to make it. And if you have a paid subscription to Kittl, then you can actually use those for commercial purposes, which is awesome. So it's not one of those places where you can make your own designs and not use them. You want to be able to sell the things you make with them.
Yes, and we are very passionate about commercial licenses around here. And they do have, so for those of you that are getting into AI, they do have an integrated AI into their editor now, which I was very excited about. Like, I just popped on there the other day and saw this. So you could just kind of tell it what you want to create, choose from the results. It'll create it for you. So it's definitely something to look into if you've ever wanted to like make your own designs or you want to play around with AI. So we do have a coupon code for you, and the coupon code is CFP, and that's for 25% off all plans, both monthly and annual. And the link is, we have a QR code if you're on YouTube. It's in the description below the video or the podcast notes, and it's link.craftingcamps.com/Kittle. That's link.craftingcamps.com/KITTL.
Gotta love Kittle.
I haven't ever used it. I'm going to have to try it out.
Oh, you got to try it out. They have really cool designs, especially they're like designs that are way more than I think. I mean, I design stuff and it's way more than I feel like I could ever design myself. Like it's very cool.
Yeah, so what I like about it is I can choose from templates, and then I can pick what I'm making. So you can pick t-shirts, and it sorts them by like, these are cool t-shirt designs. And then you just pick one and you can change the name or the date or whatever, and then it's ready to go. So that's my favorite way to use it. It's just like, I want something quick. I want to put it on a t-shirt, and I can sort it by like designs for t-shirts or whatever you're making. And then I have to mention this. For those that sell their sublimation crafts, you design in Kittle. They have a mock-up button up at the top once you're done with your design. Puts it on a mock-up for you. You choose from the mock-up, download the mock-up, put the mock-up in your store. No more having to go somewhere else to do a mock-up. Like, that was like chef's kiss for me the other day.
Making life easy.
Yes. Making it simple here.
Very
All
cool.
right. So we are back to our questions. Question number 4 for you, Courtney. What are your best-selling items, and what is your best advice for finding the best things to sell?
My best-selling items would have to be probably tumblers and custom passports, and the tote bags are some of the most popular ones. I feel like I just am looking around, like what would I like? What would I want to have? And I look at that type of thing. I'm always looking, like whenever I'm going to stores or whenever I am out, I'm like, what something maybe like that. That's kind of cool. I'm just inspiration everywhere. So I look at like, what are other people using? What do people like? What do people need? What do they want? What are they talking about? I feel like my brain is just always thinking about what could I make? What would people purchase from me for something? So I think I'm always looking for ideas, not necessarily in any particular place.
I feel like I've noticed, and I know you do a lot of different things, but for some reason in my head, you've stuck out as the person who makes things for girls' trips. I know that's
Yes.
very specific, but like little cute, the little string backpacks, tumblers, you make like a little set that goes together for
Yeah.
like girls to take on a girls' trip. And I'm like, that is such a great little niche, because it's like, what girls' trip doesn't need merch, right? What you need to bring something along. You're all matching with your besties. Like, it's just perfect.
Yeah, the girls' trip and the bridal showers. And I got into that because I work with a travel agent, and she would give stuff to all of her groups of clients that were going on trips. So she'd be like, okay, Courtney, what can we give this group? They went to Jamaica last year and they already have the tote bag. So what else can we give them for this trip? And I'm like, oh, how about some tumblers? Or how about some passports? How about some luggage tags? So it's a lot of travel stuff that I do mostly. And she does a lot of trips. So we work a lot doing that type of stuff.
I love that idea. I feel like it's just, I don't know. Now I really want a vacation with both of you, and we need merch. We need to,
Yes.
we have actually done that before. So, we should do that again.
We did do it. We did not get custom Courtney Brickner merch at our
did
little
not.
retreat, though.
It was a bit of a last minute retreat. We can't blame Courtney.
It was so amazing though.
All right, so I feel like question 5 is just like leading into this. So what is your best advice for finding customers or building a loyal customer base? And you talked a little bit about that, but any other advice?
I think something else that is really important, I think, is responding to emails and responding to messages. Like when people reach out to you with questions, you can't ignore them. Like you're like, and it's bizarre to me when I respond to people and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you responded. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to respond. Like, I'm not going to ignore you. Like, I just think that customer service is important. So I think that that's a really big thing. And I'm telling you, I have not used companies before because they lacked in customer service. So you want to leave a good impression with people when they shop with you. So I think that that is really important. Respond to their questions in a timely manner, not like taking a week or so to get back to them. I think that's really important.
I hear a lot of people who say things like, oh, I'm not on Instagram that much, so I missed your message. But if you're gonna be on Instagram or wherever you are, you need to respond to messages. Like I can say I'm not on TikTok that much and I don't respond to messages like I should. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I really need to get better about this because I'm not providing a good customer service experience on TikTok. Instagram, fine. Email, fine. Facebook, fine. But definitely, we all have the things that are a little harder for us, right?
Yeah, TikTok doesn't like me, so I'm not very good on there either.
I feel like it doesn't like me either, so I'm not very good on there. But I will say that the more you grow, the harder that part gets, is the customer service portion of it. And I feel like I waited probably too long to hire that out. So I would encourage people to like maybe consider that because it is very important to keep your customers happy. And doing that by yourself while you're creating and making the things and shipping the things can be so hard. And just the customer service of like, hey, your stuff is shipped, here's the tracking number, following up when they don't get it, doing a shipping claim, all that stuff, and in a timely manner instead of waiting. You do not want a credit card chargeback. You want to follow up with those customers. Credit card chargebacks are the worst.
I will say from personal experience, I ordered some vinyl from a company, and I'm not going to name them here, but I ordered some vinyl from a company on April 5th. A week later, it had said it hadn't shipped yet. So I emailed the email address that they had on there, which had a specific first name. It wasn't just info at the name of the company. It was like the person's first name. Hey, just wondering when my order is going to ship. I'd like to be able to use this product. Didn't hear back. Another few days went by and I'm like, hi, any update on this? And because it was still showing in USPS as not being shipped. And I was really close to hitting that credit card, give me my money back button, like because I wasn't getting my product. And then I noticed that it shipped and now it's going to be here on April 30th. So that was 25 days after I ordered. And I can tell you, I'm not going to order from this company again. And that's really disappointing because it's like, there was like, if you have any questions, contact me personally and maybe this person's having a hard time in life, which I understand. Trust me, rough beginning of the year if you've listened to any of these episodes. However, you're still running a business. And so you have to figure out how to manage your customer service no matter what's going on with your life. Even if it's I'm so sorry, I had a family emergency, I will get this out on this date, whatever it is, just communicate, I think is the most important part.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
That might lead us into question number 6. Any advice for packaging and shipping your sublimation items? And this is my least favorite topic. So, Courtney, any advice for packaging and shipping?
Why is it your least favorite topic?
I do not like to ship things. It is like my pet peeve to like package and ship things. I absolutely hate it.
Oh, well, I don't mind shipping things. I don't, but I do like to have a system. So I will measure stuff. I want to make sure that I have the right size boxes for everything that fits nicely. I make sure that I've got the like bubble packaging wrap, all of that. And I have multiple sizes. I don't like try to ship like little things in a big old box. I have perfect sizes for everything that I ship out. And like my mugs, I just like to make sure that everything is going to arrive not broken or damaged, and it's going to look nice too. Because I know that I could reuse other boxes, but I want it to look nice when it comes to you. So I don't typically reuse like my Amazon box. If I'm sending it to a friend, I will reuse like an Amazon box or something. But if I'm shipping it to a customer, I have multiple sizes of boxes that I will use. And yeah, I try them out. I measure everything and make sure that I know. Actually, I go into detail on my shipping because I want the shipping price to also be already figured out. So when I make a new project, I actually make it and I package it up just as if I'm going to ship it out to somebody in the box that I'm going to ship it in, and I weigh it so I know how much this project costs to send to somebody, and I never have to guess on that because it weighs this much all the time. I always package it exactly the same way. So then I can help calculate my shipping costs based on what I typically do is based on where the furthest away it's going to go from me. I calculate it like that, and then I can see, okay, so how much is this going to be? So that I have a system with my shipping, so it doesn't bother me that much. But I do like to make sure everything is all lined up and good to go.
Do you have a shipping partner that you work with, like Pirate Ship or Shippo?
I usually use Pirate Ship.
And then do you add a Courtney Brickner touch to anything that you ship, stickers or cute fillings or cards or anything like that?
I have a card, just like it's not necessarily a business card. It's a little card. I like to just write a little handwritten note, like just thanks from Courtney. It's nothing super crazy, but I throw that in there, and then I made some stickers, and it's just that goes one sticker that goes on the outside, like thanks for shopping small. Like,
Easy.
actually, what does it say? Your pack, my pack. I don't know. It's super cute though. I'm gonna get it because it's so cute. I just love this little sticker. My business baby small, but your order is a big deal. And I really like those. So I put those on the outside of the package.
That is
is
a
very
very cute
cute.
saying. Yeah, I love that. I love all the little touches when you order something from someone that's selling handmade. Like just the little touch, like the handwritten note. That's enough. And it gets me to like, oh, she look at this handwritten note. Courtney wrote me a letter.
It takes a lot for me to write a handwritten note. So when I get one, I'm like, oh, they took the
Oh,
time.
Yes, me too.
All right. So this one I feel like is one that we kind of get questions. Do you do anything special for the holidays or like certain seasons for your business?
you know, I do some. I wouldn't say that I focus a lot on holiday stuff. I try to have, like, I do the travel stuff. I do stuff that kind of works all year round. And then if I just feel like it, I will do some holiday stuff, but I don't necessarily like, oh my gosh, I got to do some Easter stuff. I got to do some Christmas stuff. I try to have stuff that just sells all the time.
I feel like that's just an easier way to go. I mean, there is a great reason to plan for holiday markets and, holidays, Black Friday and all of these things. But like my business relies mostly on sort of that evergreen stuff, like that just goes all year round because
Yeah.
it's nice to have that bump at Christmas. And if you are running a handmade business, you'll probably get a bump at Christmas or, the holidays or whatever. However, it's really hard if that's your main thing. And then June rolls around and you're like, I'm dying.
Yeah. I guess Father's Day is in June, but yeah, I choose to not really do that. And I feel like it's more stressful just because then you got that big, huge rush of orders at a particular time. Whereas I just prefer to have just, orders throughout the year.
And there's also that rush when you're making seasonal, if you're selling online, to make all those things, to take a picture, to do the listings, to get them up in time because you need them up way before the holiday actually hits. So, yeah, it's a lot if you're going to do the seasonal holiday type of thing.
Yeah. And the way my planning is set up right now, it is like, I just can barely think of it. I'm thinking of Mother's Day right now, and it's like in a couple weeks. I'm like, I'm a little late.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, I feel like I should be working ahead, but I'm absolutely not right now.
I'm just not. But I'm okay with it. I feel like there have been times where I have worked ahead and it's been great. I'm just not in that era right now. I'm just trying to get through this week era, and I think it's okay.
That's
I need
also
a
called 2024.
I need a shirt that says I'm in my just trying to get through this week era.
Yes. Yes.
Like that.
All right.
All right. What can you tell us though, this last question, What is there one challenge you had when starting or growing your business, and how did you overcome it? So one single challenge.
One single challenge.
This is tough. This is going to be tough to narrow down one challenge because there's a lot.
I mean, yeah, there are a lot, but maybe I can just say one lesson that I learned with my business. It was a huge lesson. Shipping. It was a shipping problem, which is not my problem per se, but I could have made some changes up to this. So working with the travel agent, she had an enormous party, like 60 people, and each person got a backpack, a tumbler, a t-shirt, and a towel. Everybody got that. So it didn't fit in one box. It actually ended up being in five or six boxes, I think. I shipped them all. One box didn't make it. And they were customized. Each person's name was on each thing. So they lost a box. It actually never got recovered. I didn't purchase insurance on the packages. Do you know insurance would have been $4 for each of the packages? I was so mad. I was like, I cannot believe I didn't get that insurance. So the lesson I learned was buy the insurance. And if you are doing customized things and maybe you've got a large order, write down what's going in that box. I didn't even know which people were missing. So I had like 12 people that were missing. They had to go through all of the boxes that they had and like, okay, we've got this person, we've got this person. So that was a big lesson. That was a lot of money. And then I work with this person all the time. So I didn't feel like, hey, you're going to have to pay all this extra money for it. So I felt like I should cover it, even though it really wasn't my fault. The only saving grace was that I had purchased the items at cost, so it wasn't like I was out of the total amount of what she was charged for it, but I was still out, and it was not a fun lesson. So it's just little things that you do, you mess up, and you figure out a better way to do them. I think that's all business. You just make mistakes and you learn what not to do or to do next time.
I think that learning from your mistakes it's such a hard lesson, but like you're never going to not get that insurance, right? Like you learned your lesson the hard way. And so I feel like we hope this podcast helps people not have to learn lessons the hard way, but I think there are just some lessons where you're like, yep, okay, I have to eat that and it sucks.
Yep.
And I feel like along the way, there are going to be mistakes you make and lessons you learn, no matter what. Like none of us is perfect. We didn't have a perfect journey to get to where we are now. We made mistakes along the way, went the wrong direction and turned around and went back. Like, so there are tons of different things that I would do differently as looking back, but hindsight's 2020, right? Like you make the decision, the best decision you have at the moment with the information you have, and you learn that lesson later.
Yep. It's so true. And forgive yourself. And don't beat yourself up about that lesson. Like you said, you make the best decision you can at that moment. And yeah, you just got to move on.
I spent a lot of money trying to get Facebook ads to work for me. And because I have such low priced products, I could not make them work, which means, I was breaking even on I was making money with the Facebook ads, but I wasn't able to pay the agency that was doing the work for me. So I ended up losing money and I beat myself up over it for a really long time. And I had to remind myself, like, this was a business expense. It was trying to make something work. It was trying to grow my business. And yeah, it sucked. It was not fun. And it was a hard lesson to learn and there were tears, but like, it was a lesson I needed to learn because I've been doing this for so long. I'm like, can I make Facebook ads work for me? I tried on my own. I tried, different things. I was like, maybe an agency can help. And at this point, I'm like, maybe Facebook ads are just not great for me right now. And that's okay. And I just had to learn that lesson.
Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah.
It's okay. My bank account says it's not okay.
I know.
It's okay.
I'm in that same place with you, Corey. I'm trying to figure out these Facebook ads. They make them sound so easy, but they are not easy.
Not
They're
easy.
not.
They are not easy people at all.
There's so much that goes into that back end of those ads, and it is not easy.
It's
Yeah.
like a full-time job by itself. We could do a whole episode on lessons from Facebook ads.
Not even how to run them, just what lessons we've learned and the horrors along the way.
Yes, I can contribute to that conversation.
Yeah, Facebook ad horror stories. That's what we'll just title it. Okay, do we want to ask for any last minute questions? If you're joining us live on YouTube, ask any last minute questions in the comment section because we're going to take those in just a second. But first, we're going to chat pricing. And Courtney is the queen of coming up with pricing for your small handmade business. I feel like everyone's been asking us about pricing and how do I get the right price? And we're going to let Courtney tell us about her Crafty project projector. And I'm going to put up the links.
Perfect. So you said I'm the queen of pricing. I was not good at pricing at first. I felt like when I started my business, it was just like friends were asking me, "Oh, can you make me the sweatshirt? How much?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, how about 15?" And then I just kind of just pulled a number out of the air. I don't even know where I came up with these numbers. It was just like, "Oh, well, the shirt cost me, 12. The sweatshirt cost me 12, so I'll just charge it." I was not making money. I don't really know what I was doing, but it wasn't working. So my husband, who is a financial professional, was helping me, and he helped me create this spreadsheet, and it's called the Crafty Profit Projector. I love it. Like, I use it all the time. When people ask me for a price now, I never give a price before I input the information. So basically, it's a whole system to help you create the best price for your product. It has a workbook that you use to help you brainstorm, help you fill out what materials go into your product. So there's like a page for each project. You write down all your materials, what the cost of all those materials is. Then you input all that information into a spreadsheet, which has formulas that are locked so you can't mess them up. You put in the price and it just stays there. So your tumbler may be $6. So the tumbler price is always going to stay in your spreadsheet. And then when you want to go make a tumbler, you have a list of everything, all the materials that you would need to make a tumbler. So you just click in, okay, I need one tumbler, I need one piece of sublimation paper, I need one piece of butcher paper, and then it calculates that and it says, okay, the price of this is $6.30 of all these materials. And then you can decide, do you want to include shipping in your price or not? But I have the tools for you to put shipping in there. It also has the fees for, like, if you're using Etsy or Shopify or any of those big name stores, it has the percentages already calculated in there. So you just pull it down from the drop down. I'm selling on Shopify. Oh, so that's going to be $1.40 for me to sell that. And then at the end of everything, it says, okay, well, if you sell it for this price, and you can change that price at the beginning. You want to sell it for $15, it'll say, oh, that's 0%. And you're like, oh, well, that's not a good price. Let me change it. Let me put maybe 25. Oh, now you're making 30% profit margin on that one. So there you go. Like, why don't you start there? And then you're like, oh my gosh, it takes all the guesswork out of pricing your products. So it's the whole system to create so that you can increase your profit margin and you're not losing money doing all this work.
We are not fans of people losing money. I assume it also calculates your time in there?
It does calculate your time, yes. So yeah, it does everything for you, the whole system.
Excellent. So if you guys want to get 10% off, you can use the code Crafting for Profit at link.craftingcamps.com/Courtney, and that will get you to the Crafty Profit
Projector.
That's
yes.
like a mouthful.
It's a lot of words.
Crafty Profit Projector, and you get 10% off. I mean, pricing is one of those things. It's one of the things we see the most questions about, and Courtney's system makes it easy, and we are all about easy.
Yes,
about easy. I'm not doing math.
We should have practiced. I feel like Crafty Profit Projector is a tongue twister. We should have practiced saying it before we went live.
Just gonna call it the CPP.
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 Okay, I am looking for a very specific question that I know I saw. So let me scroll just a second here.
This has
We had a
been
lot of
so
talking
fun.
in the chat today.
What'd you say, Corey?
We just had a lot of comments in the chat today.
Well, I'll do this one right now. The question is, I sublimated a tumbler with a black background for a friend. She had it for almost a year, but it looks completely faded out. Do you have any idea how this would happen?
I wonder, is it just over time, like being in the dishwasher over a period of time with that heat and the detergent? I think that it could possibly wear down like that over time.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I like when you sell your sublimation crafts, I would definitely include like a little care tag type of thing with them. Because yes, they could put that in the dishwasher, but you should do top rack only and no high heat cycles at all. So no like sanitized cycles, no high heat dry, no nothing like that, because that can kind of reactivate that ink and fade it out over time. And then the other thing I'm thinking as well, and I had someone talk about this the other day to me. If they were like taking the tumbler, like, you know, you're at your sink and you clean it and then set it on a windowsill, if the sun is directly hitting it over a long period of time, it could happen as well. So anything that would cause like high heat for a long
I would
period of time.
also say leaving it in the hot car in the summer could be another thing. If you take it with you, you know, it's got your ice drink in it, and then you leave it in the car. I used to live in Northern California. It was 1 billion degrees in the summer. And, you know, if it's in a metal container, that thing's going to get really hot, and it's going to get hot enough to resublimate the ink as well.
All right, next question. The mini gets hot enough for sublimation? That's good to know. And I wanted to pull this up because, yes, the mini gets hot enough for sublimation. So, Corey, you want to talk about those earrings?
Yes, so I was making sublimation earrings and necklaces and charm bracelets. I mean, there's a lot of really cool blanks out there right now for sublimation, and each of the little, I mean, it's just these little tiny discs that you sort of glue into the jewelry frame. They're small enough to easily fit under that Cricut Easy Press Mini. And so if you hit the button 3 times and you go down to that third level of heat, that gets you to that 400 degrees, which is hot enough for sublimation.
All right, this is a fun one. What other heat press do you guys recommend? I got the HTV Ron Auto Press. I'm having problems with inserting t-shirts, hoodies. I'm planning on returning it. So do we each want to like do some heat press recommendations? Courtney, you got any?
Yes. And I think that that's also, I have the HTV Ron Auto Press also, and I think it's a great press. I love having it, but I like having it as a second press because I do think it can be that teeny little space that you have to work with is challenging. And then the fact that it only goes up to 99 seconds, sometimes that can be challenging for some sublimation projects, as well as sometimes just getting the pressure right. So I do love the press, but it's not for everything. I really like my heat transfer warehouse Walla press. I have the 16 by 20 Walla press, auto open, and I love that it's got the feature that it will shut off automatically if you leave it on unattended. I mean, you probably shouldn't do that, but just in case, it will turn off and cool down. So I like that feature also. So I really like that press.
I have the Walla press, the 15 by 15 Walla press from Heat Transfer Warehouse. It does not have the auto open, which for me, I'm okay with because I don't tend to batch products quite like you do. I understand why the auto open is really great, but I tend to have problems. I don't know if it's me or what, but I tend to have problems with like ghosting. And so the auto open sometimes will jump and lift that transfer
Yeah.
up a little bit and you can get ghosting. So mine's an auto open and I'm always like opening it so carefully, but I do feel like the 15 by 15 inch size is good for like 90% of the projects I would want to make. And then there's like 10% of the time I wish I had the 16 by 20.
Yeah. And I'll mention if you want like a smaller one to start out with, the Caesar heat press that's at Michael's. It's like a 9 by 12. Very good heat press. It doesn't have an auto open or anything. So it's just a manual heat press, but it is a very good heat press. I've used that thing a ton. So that's one recommendation if you wanted to start out smaller. And then I wanted to give a recommendation of like, I know it's expensive, but the Cricut Auto Press, if you have any issues with your hands closing a heat press, arthritis, anything like that, a lifesaver, an absolute lifesaver for that type of thing. So I always recommend that to people if you do have issues with your hands or anything, that it's been a lifesaver for me. All right, and now we can talk printers. How about the Sawgrass sublimation printer? Anyone have experience? I know ink is expensive. So do we want to talk about like printers a few minutes?
Sure. All three of us have a Sawgrass. I know that. I like my Sawgrass printer. It's my big printer. So I have the Sawgrass SG-1000, and I love being able to print really big prints. And that's kind of the kicker for me. I didn't want to convert a big printer, like a Epson 15,000 or 1,500, 15,000. I can't remember what it is. That's the kind of the big printer that you might want to convert. I think you can get good results from a converted printer, but you can also get not good results from a converted printer. And I did not want to spend that kind of money. So for me, the big Sawgrass was it for the larger print size.
You know, for me, I actually had the Epson 15,000. I did convert it. But I also now have the SG 500 and the SG 1000. That Epson was incredibly slow. So if you are selling stuff, you do not want that printer. I'm telling you, it did print very well. It was a great printer, and the ink definitely is way less expensive. But and I know for a fact, because I did a side-by-side comparison and I timed them. My Epson one took 5 minutes to print out this print, where my Sawgrass took, I think it was 35 seconds. It was a huge difference. So if you got to print a bunch of stuff, who's got 5 minutes to sit around for each page? Nobody. So I find that the ink does last a really long time with the Sawgrass. So it is expensive, but you do not have to buy it that often, and it's good. So
And then I'll give a shout out to the Brother sublimation printer. I think like I have all the sublimation printers, but I will say the Brother, newer to the market, it is a smaller print size. However, it is less expensive and the ink is less expensive. Plus it has like the cartridges, so it's easy setup, similar to the Sawgrass, and the ink is way less expensive. So I've been having good luck with that one. So if you're, I feel like there's a range of printers. So the converted Epson EcoTank is the lowest range, and that might come with some headache for colors, printing time. I also have troubles with that, like Courtney was saying, and maintenance, clogs, just tons of issues with that on that lower price range. In the middle, the Epson F170, but again, those clog and stuff issues. Brother sublimation printer sort of in the middle, and then Sawgrass would be a higher end printer. So there are a range of options depending on where you are with your business. But yeah, the Epson's definitely, I tend to like, if you're going to do a sublimation business, it might be okay to start with the Epson, but you're going to want to upgrade quickly.
Yeah.
But wait, do either of you have the Epson sublimation printers?
Yeah, I do. It's the Epson F170.
It's still slow?
Yes. So I would say speed wise, both of my Epsons are the slowest. The converted one's probably a little slower than the F170. Then the Brother is next, and the Sawgrass is the fastest.
Okay.
So yeah, I would still say that both Epsons are slow. All right, this one, I'm picking this one just for Corey. Do any of you have animals, and no matter what you do, their hair seems to get everywhere and they're on everything, even though they're not allowed in the craft area? Do you have any of those issues?
Oh, do I have this issue? Yes, I do. So I have a Bernese mountain dog, and his fur is everywhere. My crafting space is not connected to my house. He does not come in here, and yet his hair is everywhere. So throughout my craft room, I have like 6 lint rollers. That's the first thing. I just have lint rollers everywhere. So I'm constantly cleaning off the backgrounds that I'm using, the blanks that I'm using. I also really learned how to use the cloning tool in Adobe Lightroom. When I'm editing my photos, I clone out a lot of dog hair in my photos. So I feel like there's just, at some point you can't get around it. You just need to be really vigilant. I mean, I'm constantly making sure I'm cleaning my blanks because that dog hair will sublimate and you'll get blue squiggly lines on your projects. But I don't think there's really a way to prevent it other than maybe making your craft space into like one of those crazy things where like they make microprocessors or something in the clean room, right? Where you have to walk through and wear like a special suit. But I mean, it really is. It's a problem. I understand. I have dog hair everywhere. If I was selling a lot of things to the general public, I think I would probably have to put that I live in a dog, a dog house. Because I think if somebody was pretty allergic to dogs, no matter what I make in here, maybe not with hard blanks quite as much, but with tote bags or anything like that, I'd be like, my mom makes purses and she makes them out of recycled materials, a lot of times jeans. So she'll go to Goodwill or whatever and buy jeans and make purses out of them. And she and I are both very allergic to cats. And she was sewing with a pair of jeans one time. And by the end of sewing this purse, her eyes were swollen and she had that deep, scratchy voice. And she knew like that they had had a cat in the home and she could totally tell just from this pair of jeans, even though it had been washed a couple times. So I do feel like, if it's really important or you think you might have a problem with pet hair, it might be good to, tell people that.
That's a good tip. All right. What's the best for tumblers? Toaster oven or press?
Well, I'm just gonna say that I just got an oven like maybe 5 weeks ago. I've only had a tumbler press, but boy, oh boy, can I do more tumblers in an oven than I can with a press. Like initially I was like, oh, 7 minutes is kind of a long time to wait for a tumbler. But when you're talking about 7 minutes and you can get 7 tumblers, I'm like, oh, what have I been doing with my life? Like, I think if you're going to be making multiple tumblers at a time, then I think the oven. But if you're just wanting to make a tumbler, then I think the tumbler press would suffice.
I don't know. I feel like they both have benefits and drawbacks. I don't know. Like, so I will say for the toaster oven or sublimation oven, I do add the shrink wrap around the outside. So it's extra step, extra product that you would have to use, extra things you would have to account for. But in the oven, I can do all kinds of different tumblers and blanks. Like it doesn't matter the shape, the size. If I have some shrink wrap that'll go around that bad boy and it'll fit in the oven, I'm going to sublimate something. I'm going to sublimate dog bowls, huge dog bowls, all the way down to shot glasses. So that's why, like, I will not get rid of my oven. However, like you said, a press can be quicker. Like you're intrigued by the 60 seconds. But you do have to be there, right? So you have to like rotate it, pull it out, put the next one in. So yeah, I don't know. I'm on the fence.
For some reason, I don't even know why. Maybe because I knew we were talking today, but random thoughts by Courtney. I woke up this morning and thought, if I had to choose, this is so crazy. If I had to choose between what I would get for if I had to have like equipment, it would be like between a press, a tumbler, and a mug, or a mug press and a sublimation oven. I woke up this morning and thought I would want a press and an oven. I don't think I would get a mug press or a tumbler. If I didn't have the money for both, I think I would probably get an oven because of what you said. You could do everything in there. Whereas I was thinking of like the flat acrylic blanks, the nameplates for the tops, and all these other things that you cannot do in a mug press, but you could do a mug or tumbler in your oven. So Courtney thought this morning that it should be a sublimation oven and a heat press.
I think if I only had two to choose, I'd get a flat press and a oven. Even though I find, working with an oven just is a little fussy, right? Because you got to do the shrink wrap and you got to peel the shrink wrap. And, there is just a little bit more to it. I do feel like overall, it's just way more like of a versatile machine.
Okay, I'm pulling this question up for me. Have you found any blanks for planters? I cannot tell you the number of hours I have spent searching for this because I am a plant lady and I want to sublimate my own planters. So the answer is no, but it will be coming to my YouTube channel if I find them.
It's something I've looked for as well because also a plant lady. And I just want to be able to make my own planters. I think that would be amazing. So again, if you are a blank company and you're watching this video, we want planters and we want planters and we want film that's not white or clear.
Yes. We have requests, please.
That could be a whole episode, requests for people who make stuff.
Someone was asking for clarification between the Sawgrass printers. Anyone want to say like the differences?
Sure. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Corey.
So there's two. There's the Sawgrass. Well, there's two older ones, but I'm going to go with just the two that are on the market now. The Sawgrass SG500 prints 8.5 by 14, just standard size. I mean, 8.5 by 11, yes, but then the tray extends a little bit, I think, to print that larger size.
So you can do 8.5 by 14, and you can also add that bypass tray to the back so you could print long, but only 8.5 wide.
Right. So 8.5 wide, basically.
Yes.
And then with the Sawgrass SG1000, it is 11 inches wide. With the bypass, you can do, I think the roll is 13 inches wide, and then it's on a roll as well. So you can do, it's like by 52 inches or something. So if you really need to do like a lot of printing, you can do that. Of course, that also, you have to buy the bypass tray. It doesn't come with the printer, and then you have to buy the giant roll of paper. So there are other costs, but that's basically the difference, is the size of paper you can use.
Okay.
I just have to say hi to Kawanda because I know her from my channel. Hello.
And then, does it have to be a sublimation oven, or can it just be an oven? So let's talk a little bit about safety a little bit. So when we're talking about ovens, so sublimation gases, you do not want them anywhere near your food as it's sublimating. So you never want to sublimate in something you're going to cook food in. So never use like your household oven. So you want a dedicated oven of some type. Now, this can be what is termed as a sublimation oven, which is listed on Amazon. PYD Life makes them, and it just says sublimation oven. Or you can use a convection oven, that, small countertop convection oven that you would use like in your kitchen. However, again, never use it for anything else once you get the convection oven.
You can also use an air fryer. I know that some people have had really good luck with like a basket style air fryer. I tried my best. I've got one sitting over there that's basically going to the dump because I can't use it for food now, but I tried all sorts of different settings and I never got my air fryer to work. So if you're thinking about maybe an air fryer because it's less expensive, I would maybe not do that. I would probably get a convection oven if you're looking.
Yeah, and I will say my sublimation oven, I do feel like it gets more consistent heat. So I tend to go with the actual sublimation oven and not like my countertop convection oven, but I have tried both.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's all the questions from the chat. So thank you so much, Courtney, for joining us today. You all be sure to follow Courtney, especially on Instagram, if you want to see all those dancing videos. I know we mentioned them several times. Like, you want to see her dance.
Oh my goodness.
We were so glad to have you here. And don't forget to join us for Sublimation Plus DTF Camp, May 2nd through 4th. I think I'm going to have Angie throw up that QR code again, if she can do that really quickly. You can grab your free ticket with that QR code. You can also just go to sublimationcamp.com, learn all about sublimating on a variety of surfaces, variety of techniques. We have like some really interesting things this year. We've got shoelaces and faux leather, graduation stoles. There's we've got some really interesting blanks this year, which I'm really excited about. We have 10 basic sublimation classes that Angie and I teach. So if you're like, I'm still really new to this, we got you covered. Those 10 classes are available all 3 days. So if you're just like, I just need to get a handle on what the heck I'm doing, just come and join us for those 3 days and watch our beginner classes, because we will walk you through everything you need to know. And then there are more than, it's something like 20 something other classes. There are a lot of classes this year. And it's for all, we have them divided up by beginner and intermediate. So you will know, hey, I've actually been doing this for a while. What's something new I can do? So super exciting. But we just want you to come join us. We have such a good time, and we love camp.
And we do have the code and the link for Courtney's Crafty Project Projector, and that is in the description below the YouTube video or in the podcast notes. And then don't miss our next episode on SEO secrets. If you sell online, you do not want to miss it. We're going to have Holly Homer on, and that's going to be on YouTube on May 9th and on the podcast on May 13th. If you want reminders about this, you're like, I can't write this down fast enough, sign up for our newsletter to get those reminders. Again, in the podcast notes or the YouTube description, sign up for the newsletter. We will send you those reminders for our lives as well as podcast episodes.
All right. And we want to give you one last reminder to share this episode with anybody you think would enjoy it or may need it. Leave your ratings, your reviews. We covet those. They actually help us get our podcast shown to even more people. That's how Apple and Spotify and all the places determine that we are worthy. So if you can go and rate and review our podcast, we would really appreciate it. These are vital to our success. And Courtney, thank you once again for joining us. We really loved having you here.
Thank you so much, guys. This was really, really fun.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
had fun too. All right. So